This is what I'm talking about. When I talk about the shutdown and it being valuable, even though you have Republicans and even Trump not happy with the shutdown, I actually think in the back of his mind, some good things can happen out of it. We'll talk about what just took place. Like I said, Russ Vought and some of the people that has been wanting to clean up the government is actually starting to do it. Wait till you hear this, and we need more of this. Also, FBI under Kash Patel. You know, for the longest, they've been kind of running a CD average, not really doing the best in the world. Two big things come out of the FBI this week. This is, again, what we're talking about. I believe you're going to see an uptick in good things happening when it comes to some of the things, promises made. For instance, like a rebate check from the tariffs and things like that. I believe you're going to see that in the election year when it comes to the last of this year and the first of next year. No matter if we agree with it or not, it's politics, and I believe they don't want anything to really play into the hand to where it won't benefit them in the midterms. So I believe you're going to start seeing a lot more good things happening when it comes to some of the Trump administration's policies. Wait till you hear these stories, and we'll talk about that. Also, we're going to discuss this. Again, it's worse than we thought. We're going to talk about the maker of this, but then we're also going to talk about this season. We're in a season of, you know, flu and things that actually happen in the fall and winter times. That's why we get on regimen of elderberry syrup, what we make. I'm going to tell you what the flu and what they've been doing to, to save you and help you for the last, 20, 30, 40 years. Wait till you hear the statistics on how good that's been for you or how bad it's been for you. It's going to blow your mind. Also, we're going to talk about how federal agents and ICE agents are doing great things in the cities, but the liberal cities are still being liberal. And so the police are actually working against the ICE and Fed. What do I mean by that? And is this a bad or good thing? We're going to discuss how a conservative journalist just got arrested. They let Antifa go crazy in Portland, but then they arrested a conservative journalist. You tell me why. Well, because they said he was disrupting at the ICE facility. Now, the ICE didn't arrest him. The Portland police did. So now are we seeing where liberal ideology and then conservative ideology are affecting the enforcement wing, which I told you it can be very dangerous to support certain ideologies of, police and enforcement. Not that I don't support them, but remember, they are the enforcement wing of the government that they serve. So a liberal ideology pushes liberal enforcement. Wait till you hear the story. It's coming out of Portland. Our cities are in shambles and we got to fix them. And then lastly, we're going to discuss Mamdani in New York City. Now, do I care what happens in New York City? Personally, I'm sorry, I just don't. I live in South Mississippi. I'm probably never going to New York City. Have no desire to go there. But there's been a lot of foreign money put into his campaign. Does that make you happy or not happy? A lot of it's by Islamic leaders who wants to see America change. That's where it becomes a concern. I've been pushing you for about a month or two specifically on the dangers of this religion. And I'm scared to see these cities are going to fall to it because we take it hook, line, and sinker that this guy's going to save everybody, give everybody free stuff. And actually what he's doing, he's bait and switching you. He's taking dependency control to ultimately bring in a new way of thinking, the Muslim thinking. Wait till you hear these stories. Let's dive into these stories and a lot more. This video starts right now. Hey guys, welcome to our channel. Thank you so very much for being here today. We are again on farm. We had to do some counting on the hay bale, so we were just up here. We actually have a vlog about how we live our life. Go check it out, Life with Colby Mack. We've got several videos there already, but we're posting about 2 or 3 times a week. The purpose of that channel is to show you that you can live sustainable and you can prepare and make sure that you are being as independent as possible. Look, I work a full-time job. We have 6 kids that are very active. We homeschool those children. We own a business. We, of course, do this every day. We're busy too, but you can be more independent no matter what time of life you're in, young, old. If you have money, if you don't have money, all this could benefit you. So make sure you are trying to live independent. Go check out that channel. You will really enjoy it because we show you how we do what we do. Now let's jump into the stories of the day. Remember, at the very end of the video, I'm doing 2 giveaways. So please watch the video, but stay tuned to the very end because we're going to do a giveaway for the YouTube and the Facebook side. But we'll jump into the video first. Now, let's talk about this shutdown and what we're seeing, some of the wins that Trump is actually getting. Now, Trump and J.D. Vance are trying to quote unquote fix the shutdown and actually bring the terms to the Schumer shutdown. Politics is a dirty game and we don't like it, but it's a dirty game. And to be honest with you, they may say they don't want the shutdown, and they're probably right, because it can eventually hurt. Nobody actually ever wins in a shutdown, but you can have leverage in the shutdown. And I think the leverage part is the most important, and I believe that that's what Trump and J.D. Vance have. Because it looks bad on Democrats, it's actually hurting them worse than it's actually helping them. But here's the thing. It's doing just what we need it to do, because when the shutdown happens, yes, it furloughs a lot of people. Yes, our military has got furloughed pay and they need to get their pay back. But what it also does is it puts in the hands the budget and the managing part of the government into the executive branch. Well, Roosevelt and some of the major players in the Trump economy has been wanting to clean house in a lot of agencies and a lot of frivolous spending. Well, they couldn't because of Congress and Senate and because of the way it was. Well, with the shutdown and because the negotiations are going on, it opens the door for more policies and more ways of holding funds back and not just frivolously wasting. Massive layoffs in places they want to lay off, so hopefully those people would find new jobs. It allows for Trump to do what he's been talking about doing. This is a good thing. Listen to this story. And this is just prime example of why I absolutely believe that a shutdown is necessary. And even though you hear some on the conservative side saying, oh, it's a bad thing, I actually don't think it's a bad thing at all. Breaking, this is from Eric Doherty. It says, OMB Director Roosevelt freezes $2.1 billion in funds to the Blue City of Chicago for infrastructure projects during the government shutdown to ensure funding is not flowing via race-bait contracting. Roosevelt has been on a field day based on holding funds back that is wasted money. So if you remember, Chicago's mayor came out, a few weeks ago, and he's been saying this pretty much since he's been elected, that he was going to hire only based on race. I mean, he was going to hire African Americans, blacks. No white people pretty much can get jobs in Chicago. Well, guess what? Your Congress, like they always do, they set aside and appropriate all this money to go all these liberal areas. I told you yesterday about the situation with the homelessness. So we've stopped a lot of that money that's flowing to this homelessness problem and epidemic in California. It was actually costing us as taxpayers almost $1 million a piece per homeless person they were getting in money to quote unquote take care of them, and pretty much they wanted them to stay on the street because that was money flowing in. Same with Chicago. Now we're taking away these infrastructure totals because it's just worthless. Energy Secretary came out and said they're going to stop a $7-point-something billion solar expansion plan that really did not give enough energy to justify the cost. Now, should we expand in alternative energy if it's viable and it makes us money and it doesn't take away from our farmlands? Sure, but it should not be at the waste of our taxpayer dollars. So major savings just in 2 or 3 different situations. Also, listen to this. Prime example, again, another situation of why we need to lock this government down. 2 stories. Someone needs to look into Ilhan Omar. 50% of Islamic migrants in Minnesota have committed immigration fraud. Now, here's the thing that makes this a big deal and why it affects us dealing with the shutdown and dealing with the fact of taxpayer funds. So what we don't realize is these people are brought in with government money, usually Soros and USAID money, but this is money, again, appropriated by your wonderful Congress and Senate that is sent up to these NGOs, to basically Soros-funded NGOs, and they do at the behest of what Soros and those leadership of those NGOs want. So again, during the shutdown, we can stop the flow of some of this money going to these NGOs that are absolutely causing for frivolous things in the spending of our money to ultimately hurt the conservative movement, i.e. the California homelessness thing. That was an NGO, again, Soros funded. This is an NGO funded that we fund, that we pay for Somalis to be here. Now, here's the thing. If they're committing, it says 50% of the Islamist migrant in Minnesota have committed immigration fraud, meaning they're not there for the right reasons, they're not vetted, and the administration is not really aware of how many people are coming in. It's the NGOs that are bringing them in. See, this is what we do. Your Congress wastes money, give to all these places because they love the kickbacks, they love the frivolous spending because it gives them power and gets them very filthy rich. And so then we give this money, our money, to do the things that we don't want it to do. Do you realize that? How crazy is that? So again, a way that we can stop this is by cutting this funding off to these NGOs and all the stuff that the USAID was funding. Do you remember that the USAID and the NGOs that we were funding through the USAID, did you know that a lot of that was filtering back to the Democrats? So a lot of the times, really, to be honest with you, the Democrats have come out and stated that they're actually in money binds nationally, the DNC, because their funds have stopped. So it shows it's all a dirty game. And I blame Congress and Senate for this. Republicans too, because they're the ones signing on to these bills. It's all about their own pocketbooks. Another reason this shutdown needs to keep going. Maxine Waters comes out again. She's like 80-something years old, serving for no apparent reason that she's still a congressman. Democrats are demanding, this is her exact quote, Democrats are demanding health care for everybody. Because the reporter asked her, wait, the whole purpose of this bill and the reason that Trump is saying that we're not going to sign it as the conservatives is saying that you're wanting to fund illegal immigration. Well, they kind of tried to debunk it. CNN tried to debunk it, which is all false narrative. Because if you look at the bill, if you read the bill, there's a highlighted part that talks about illegal migrant coverage. And so she comes out and actually affirms it and says Democrats are demanding health care for everybody that's here. So that's where that extra $1.5 trillion is added just to cover anything that the illegal immigrants want. I just had $1,108 taken out of my account just yesterday for my health care coverage. I do like a HSA, a Christian sharing plan, and that's with a $4,000 deductible. And so basically major medical, and I still have to cover all my local bills, anything that we would have to get, and any doctor's visits, that's all on me. But my taxpaying dollars, along with me paying my own insurance, has to go to take care of Democrats wanting to take care of illegal immigrants. So make sure we understand this. The government is shut down because the Democrats want to actually give money to illegal immigrants. And while the shutdown is going on, your military is not paid. Do you get what I'm saying? This shows this party has lost its way. It shows that our government has lost its way. But this is why we actually do need the shutdown, not because I don't want military to get paid. Here's why. Because we need a reawakening of understanding of liberty and freedom. That we need the problem, like Warren Buffett, who is basically a Democrat, says this. He says, if we can't learn to balance a budget and we can't learn to see the money laundering problems that Congress is doing and having, then every one of them that is committing these situations and can't balance a budget should have to go home. They should have to resign. Elon Musk came out, the richest man, just came over $500 billion, still lives in like a 1,500 square foot home, and his cars are paid for by his company. So he literally lives as a hermit sometimes. But this man said the same thing. He said, if you would realize, and he said, remember, Elon has some of the top clearances that a government can offer. He said, if you would realize what we saw in Doge, is the amount of waste these Senate and congressmen are doing to these NGOs and these things that you as taxpayers are funding. He said it would keep you up at night. Now the sad thing is, it's like this farm. I love this farm. It costs me a lot of money to operate. It would kind of blow your mind at what I spend money on. But that's because I believe in the farm. If I believe in something, I want to invest in it. Okay? So you tell me why our Congress and Senate, they tell you one thing, but they keep investing in it. Is it because they believe in it? Is it because they really don't care for you too much? They actually care for their own pocketbooks? They only care for control? It's not about freedom, it's about control. This is why the shutdown is absolutely needed. No matter what even the Trump administration is saying, yes, they're wanting the military paid. They're wanting ICE agents paid. They're wanting the people that are good in the administration to keep on working. But ultimately, mass layoffs need to happen. And this funding to all these blue cities needs to stop because all of it's going against the people that put Trump in power. It's ridiculous. Now, before we go any further, a word from today's sponsor. And in this world that we live in with the craziness of living digitally online, check out today's sponsor. If you wonder why scammers are always getting your phone number, why you have so much spam in your inbox, well, this is why. Your data has been compromised, meaning there's data brokers out there. And what they're doing is getting your information and turn around and selling it to maybe some salespeople, but maybe some bad players. The crazy thing is they do it without your consent. They give all your information to all these places, and it makes you vulnerable. And you know what? You actually can call hundreds of companies, thousands of companies, and tell them you don't want your information shared on the World Wide Web. But guess what? It's kind of hard and time consuming. That's why today's sponsor, Aura, is the game changer for you and your safety with your data online. Everything that we do is online now, so the last thing I want to do is try to go and find out who's got my information that shouldn't have it. That's why we recommend Aura. Aura does all the hard part. Aura goes in and they start taking your information automatically off and taking it away from some of the more compromised places, the vulnerable places. I kid you not. My inbox, my phone has been completely cleaned up, and I don't have to worry about all these crazy calls and all these insurance salesmen and all these apps tracking me all the time. Because Aura is there to help. Aura also is so much more. Aura is all-in-one digital security. They do 5 things extremely well. They send you alerts if all of a sudden they find your personal information on the dark web. Real-time fraud alerts for credit and banking apps. And also if your information has been compromised. 24/7 monitoring. This is the biggest. Because I promise you, the people that are probably stealing your information, they're probably not doing it during the day era. What if it's through the night? 24/7 monitoring from Aura. A secure VPN, antivirus and password manager, and so much more. A US-based support available around the clock. So if something goes wrong, you can reach out to them and they're right there to help you. Aura includes $5 million in identity theft insurance. At night when I lock my doors before we go to bed, I don't want to lock just the front and leave the back open. Aura is all in one, so that way it's protecting you all online. If I sleep at night and I physically protect my home, what about making sure that I'm digitally protecting my information? Check with Aura today, aura.com/themacs. Get 14 days free by using that link. You want a peace of mind when you sleep? Aura can give you that. Aura.com/themacs. Check them out. Now let's go to this right here. I want to bring up a few stories because this time of year, everybody starts talking about the flu, you know, the thing that goes here. I passed a Walgreens yesterday and they already had signs out, you know, come in for this whole month of October, get all this free stuff. You can get all these put in your arm for free, okay? Listen to this. This came out from Cheryl Atkinson. This was back in 2006 now. This is when some media probably had a little bit more less rhetoric and not talking points, and maybe just a little bit more truth, not much, but a little bit more truth. Listen to what she said. In 2006, a CBS News report came out and said this: over 20 years, the percentage of seniors getting the flu push in their arm sharply went from 15 to 65%. Flu deaths among elderly should have taken a dramatic dip. Remember, since they were telling you this would help you save your life, make the flu not as powerful, not as potent, and everybody needs this in their arm to make themselves better, to make themselves way better. That's what, you know, all these big pharma companies have told you. It's going to make you better. It says it's done the exact opposite. It says that instead of actually taking a dip, we've seen flu deaths up and sicknesses and problems among seniors who took these in the arm. He said it continues to climb. Now, from 1980 to 2006, they said the cases went up over about 50%. They said now, because people have been even more indoctrinated on this stuff and actually added the 2020 version of other stuff too, it's now up 340%. 340%. Is this really what we want? Is this how we believe that we're supposed to live? And if we see our Congress and Senate spending money and giving money to things that we don't believe in, then we see the people that's in charge of us, Congress, Senate, and leaders telling us that you need this because this will actually help you, and then we realize that it's not. Does that actually kind of bring to point that we probably shouldn't just trust the government with everything? Does that bring the fact that we should just have common sense and wisdom as we try to navigate this crazy world? That's kind of what I tell you every day. The reason we talk on these videos is not because I believe that there's some crazy thing going on all the time. What I actually want you to do is just dive in and research. Because when you actually start opening your eyes to things, you're going to say, wow, maybe I did know better. Maybe my grandmother did know better. Maybe eating holistically is better than just putting all this junk in my body. Maybe, just maybe, raising our own food and having holistic style food is actually good for us. Listen to this other story. I mean, while we're going on this, and this is not really part of the discussion dealing with this today, but let's listen to this right here. It just came out that American Heart Association was paid off by Procter & Gamble to say heart disease was actually caused by saturated fats in things like natural butters and lard, and actually that seed oils were safer for you. Well, the truth be told, that's the exact opposite. Butter, lard, and natural fats are actually good for us, doesn't cause problems. Cholesterol is actually not a bad thing when it comes from natural sources, and seed oils are actually causing for sicknesses, carcinogenic agents in our body, and they're actually cancerous. It says, we've been told for decades that heart disease is caused by saturated fats like butter, meat, eggs, but recent study shows it's the exact opposite. Oh, wait, so they were paid off, but we were supposed to trust them. Did you know the American Pediatric Association, the biggest funder is pharma? Did you know that every institution that teaches our doctors, our universities, are paid off by foreign adversaries and also pharma? Did you know that a lot of our congressmen and senate, they vote on stuff like the first thing, on stuff because they're getting money from certain players? What I want to show you is we can't just trust the Walgreens sign that says we need to free this because it makes us better. We can't just trust government when they tell us that this is how we're supposed to live, this is how we're supposed to do it, because their track record pretty much sucks. You know what, look, when I invest in something, if it be stock market, gold, if it be any kind of businesses, I look at it and say, okay, what's the track record? Is it performing well? Is it doing well? Even my animals, my pigs, my cattle, my sheep, I look at them and say, okay, are these resilient animals, are they doing well? Do they have a good track record? Do they produce me what I need them to produce? Does these hayfields, do they produce? You look at history, you look at the track record. Name one time in this period, from 1960 on, that the government actually has a good track record of leading us right. There's not been too many times. We've had great leaders. We've had Reagan, we've had Trump, and now we have Trump again. We may have had some good leaders, but our Senate and Congress and the people that spend our money, I just really struggle to think they don't really have a good track record. So why do we want to trust them with every part of our lives? Now let's go to these two stories with FBI. FBI cut all ties with ADL, calling it a political front and disguised it as watchdog. Basically what Kash Patel and FBI is doing is they're actually starting to stand up and say, you know, we're just going to be police again. We're just going to take care of Americans and get out of the political spin. This is what I love to see. Freedom, liberty, and people that are actually, that we can trust over us. And that leads us to another story in a little bit dealing with the Portland police and the liberals. But let's keep on going with Kash Patel. We're starting to see him actually do better. In a striking move, the administration decided to cut ties with the ADL. ADL is a group that pretty much went against all Christianity, went against white men, went against conservative movement, went against Trump. But we still wanted them to be an ally of our government. They've been a big part of our government for a long time as a think tank. And I laugh because a lot of people are like, oh, they're tied into Jews. Well, to be honest with you, they're tied into a liberal version of that, not really conservatism. So it doesn't really represent us. So I'm glad to see Kash Patel do this. Also, Kash Patel just fired a trainee that was displaying a pride flag on his desk. See, he said, it's not about just the fact of who you are and what you believe. He said, but we're not going to wear our political indoctrination on our desk. He said, we're here to serve the people, not to indoctrinate them. We're here to make sure they're protected. We don't care about your own views. We care about the American views. So we're starting to see a movement of FBI getting maybe a little bit more trust. Not saying they're trustworthy yet, but I'm saying we're starting to see the Trump administration really turn on some things like Russ Fall. Really see Kash Patel coming along and actually doing some good things here. These are two positive stories that could actually see more trust coming to the Trump administration. Not the federal government, but the Trump administration on some of the promises they made us. Now that leads me to another story. We're seeing good things out of ICE. We're seeing good things out of the FBI in these facets. We're seeing more honesty, more transparency. However, let's talk about this journalist that just got arrested. Nick Sorter, it's going all over, it went viral. But he was actually filming the Antifa situation that's going on in Portland. Now, the Fed, the ICE people are trying to detain and hold. Now, you remember me telling you that Antifa has basically declared war on Americans and on these places. Trump has now said that they're a terrorist group. But listen, absolutely infuriating. This is from another investigative journalist that was with Nick Sorter. It says, independent journalist Nick Sorter arrested after he was jumped by Antifa. He said, Portland police, instead of arresting the people that are causing mischief at the ICE facility, he said they arrest the person that they chose to beat down. Now, here's the thing. The conservative was arrested, and Antifa could still act like fools with ICE agents. You know why? Because Portland police is led by a Portland chief who is actually in cahoots and actually following the order of the mayor and the liberal ideology and leadership there. Chicago, same way. And we can go down the list. San Francisco, same way. New York City, same way. These groups of individuals that are policing, are they actually serving you? Is Dearborn really serving you? Did you hear the police chief of Dearborn the other day? A white man gets up there and he gets up there and does a praise to Allah. Is that representing Americans' values or Dearborn, Michigan's values? But see, what he's doing is he wants to probably keep his job, so his whole leadership is Muslim. So he is making sure that he's enforcing what they want him to enforce. Here's the problem. I love when people say they support police, but they also say, well, don't tread on me. That's an oxymoron. You can't really have both. There was a statement I read from Ben Franklin yesterday. It talked about how if you're willing to give up your liberty and freedom for security, he said you will have neither, and basically you'll be a failed state. You'll be ruled by tyrants. See, here's the thing. When we want people to protect us, quote unquote protect us, really who's protecting you? Because it depends on who's in leadership. I mean, for instance, the chief and the sheriff here, the sheriff is elected by the people, but the chief is actually, I like the chief at my local town, I know him personally, but he's going to be at the behest of the leadership of the town, correct? Just like an employee is at the behest of an employer. So he works for the leadership. Well, if you have extreme liberal leadership, what do you think that policeman's going to do, or he's going to lose his job? He's going to have to enforce what they want him to enforce. So now what you're doing is you're seeing enforcement come against enforcement. ICE agents telling arrest Antifa and actually doing things. They actually did arrest some of Antifa and took them into the barracks of the ICE facility. But then at the same time, you have now the Portland police coming in and instead of arresting Antifa, that's actually the own terror group that should be the ones getting arrested for causing mischief and riots, they arrest the citizen journalist that's a conservative. We're going to see a division, and this division is going to cause for an eruption and chaos. Prime example, one last thing we're going to talk about in this video before we talk about the winners of the giveaway. Our leadership in our cities. Listen to this. This is from Peter Schweitzer. It says, we're exposing foreign-linked cash funneling into the NYC candidate Zohran Mamdani because their plan is deviant and evil. It says, unless a distant second Andrew Cuomo comes around, Zohran Mamdani will be the one who wins the mayorship for New York City. It says he's a far left radical, promising millions of things, handouts, all that, you know. Very questionable way of growing government. Tax the rich, housing, all that kind of stuff. But here's what we're missing. Mamdani money is flowing in, not from New York City. According to Schweitzer, 78% of Mamdani's funders are not New Yorkers, including radical funders from the 1993 terror plot bombing, the New Mexico school shooting plot, Hezbollah and Iran propaganda machines, and more. Radical Islamic clerics are also funneling him. Now you tell me, what did we talk about at the very first of the video, and why is this important? We are who we are because of who's paying for us to be that way. Employees, policemen, our Senate, our Congress, they're worthless because they're getting bought out. If the enforcement wing is ran by this guy who ultimately has one plan, to cause harm for conservatives, for white Christians, because he's a Muslim, because he believes in this very far communistic style, socialistic style government, then what is he beholden to? Well, his funders are not New Yorkers. A lot of them are people tired of terrorists. Do you see the dangers of what we're doing to our cities? This is why I believe we're going to have a divide like no one's ever seen before. And it's not just, okay, we're going to talk about who's going to be this covered and all this and the stupid stuff that the Congress fights over. We're going to see a divide on spiritual battles here. We're seeing spiritual battles in Nigeria. We're seeing spiritual battles in the UK. We're seeing spiritual battles all over. And we're going to start seeing them in America because we're allowing for these people to be over us. Pay attention to these stories and who's funding Mamdani. It's not who you think. It's not New Yorkers. It's not even big, rich billionaires. It's Hezbollah, Hamas supporters, the people that's been over bombings, the people that's been over all this Islamic jihad is funding him. Peter Schweiker's got the story. It's on Zero Hedge. Go check it out. All right, now we're gonna wrap it up. Thank you again for watching. We are so thankful for your support and thankful for some of you that went over to Facebook. Again, we're gonna do giveaways each month tied to the other platforms too, so please go check Life with Colby Mack out, the vlog channel, but also our other social media presence, because we want you to get the information that you're needing, plus hopefully encourage you to grow your own food and things like that to prepare and buy the things you need like gold. So the winners of September for YouTube is Judy Carter. Judy Carter has commented over 100+ times. You are the winner of September's giveaway for the YouTube side. Please go and email us so we can get your information, send you this prize packet. Again, we would love just to give something to you, say thank you. And we also have a winner that we pulled from Facebook. So remember, I got Facebook back, and we're trying to make sure that you're seeing as much information as you can. Of course, seeing my family, enjoy times speaking to you and things like that, because I can communicate a little bit better than YouTube. But anyways, a lot of people come over from yesterday's video, and the winner of that giveaway is Spencer Douglas Smith. Spencer Douglas Smith says that I just started watching your channel. We are thankful for what you're saying. So Spencer, if you're watching this, reach out to me on Facebook or on email. Same way, we want to get a prize packet to you and get your information. Again, it's hard for us to get your information through Facebook or through YouTube, so please email that. We have a link in our description of our email, and then of course Facebook Messenger, you can just message straight to us. We want to say thank you not only to those 2 individuals, but to all of you. We humbly thank you for supporting us for September. We hope that you'll keep on watching, and we hope that we can give you great information as we further into October. Guys, thank you so much for watching. God bless.